Hey everybody, I'm making this video because, as you all know, this is the first time we're all trying to sync grades from Canvas to PowerSchool. And because of that, we're starting to figure out some of the little rules and little things that Canvas has that you have to follow in order to get your grades to sync from Canvas to PowerSchool. So I'm making this video to help clarify some of the things, and hopefully we can get everybody going and continue to keep syncing our grades with as few issues as possible. So the first thing that I'm going to talk to you about today is, so when you're in the assignments tab and you have your list of assignments, you have to have a unique name for each assignment. If you have the same name, for instance, if this teacher, I'm using Jackie's today, if Jackie had week 4 participation and then she had another assignment named week 4 participation and they were due on the same day, that is not going to allow your grades to sync. Those two things being named the same thing will keep them, because it can't keep you from being able to sync grades because it can't differentiate between the two. And I think sometimes people are getting a duplicate in here that's accidentally marked to sync, but it's not really the one that students are working in. So just make sure that none of your assignments, I don't have an example here, but make sure none of your assignments have the same name. They all need to have a unique name. The next rule that Canvas has is that the name can't be too long. I think the limit is either 30 or 34 characters, so it needs to be a short, concise name. And if you have things that are similar, if you put the date and then the name, like if it was 816 abstract line and then 817 abstract line, that would work. Just make sure that they are each unique in some way and that they are short enough to actually be synced into the gradebook. The next thing has to do with these categories. So especially with like quizzes and tests, you need to make sure that you have your assignments under the correct category, and one of the ones that has the arrow with the paper. If you add an assignment and you forget to come to this assignments tab and put it under one of the arrows with paper, it will not sync, because these are the ones that will sync your grades into PowerSchool. Next, and I'm just going to make a fake quiz here. I'm going to call it quiz 1 and show you something. So this quiz right here, say this was a quiz that Jackie was giving her students. If I click on that, it pulls up the information about the quiz. This is obviously just a fake quiz, but it says assignment group quiz. This can actually get changed when you're making your quiz, or maybe you're making a bell work and you want it to be multiple choice and it's not necessarily a quiz. So I'm going to show that to you, and click the edit button. So do you see right here, it says assignment group quiz? You can actually drop that down and you can choose a different category. So like if you were doing a bell work that wasn't really a quiz, you could put it in the assignment group classwork. So I'm going to just save that. So you're using the quiz feature because you want the multiple choice, but it's not really a quiz. So now right here, instead of the assignment group saying quiz, it says classwork. Well, I bet you get where I'm going. So when I go back to assignments, that quiz has now been moved to classwork because it's in the classwork category. Sometimes when this happens, when it gets marked in a quiz, it doesn't move it to the category. Sometimes it leaves it down here under quiz. So when I click on that, it still has, it changes the assignment group right there. But sometimes for whatever reason, it's not changing the assignment group and it has to manually be edited to do that. So just make sure that your assignments are all in the correct group and the correct category. So I'm going to click on that. And so you see here that it's kind of finicky. You want to make sure that you have your assignment group. So it says quiz, but when we go to assignments, and we come down here and it is under there. It just needed to reload. But then if we want to make it classwork, it's not really quiz. You've got to move it under there, and then you have to double check when you click on it that it changed the assignment group, because if they aren't matching, if it's classwork and it's not under classwork, it's not going to sync your grades. So I know that's kind of confusing, but just make sure with your quizzes that whatever assignment group they're in, like if it's classwork, it needs to be under classwork, and click on it and make sure that assignment group is correct. If it's an actual quiz and it goes under here, make sure it says quiz when you click on it. I'm going to get rid of that because I'm sure Jackie doesn't want it. Then the next thing I'm going to show you is this piece. So this is not a current class. There are no grades on here, so I'm not violating any student's right by showing a grade. There are no grades here. But I want to give you the example. So say you grade this student's work, this abstract line assignment, and you give this student a grade because they've turned it in, and you give this student a grade and this student a grade, but you don't give this Timothy one and you don't give Gage one. And then when you go back to your assignments tab and see 816 abstract line and the green sync button is marked, it's not going to sync. In order to sync it, an assignment, every single person has to have a grade, or if they're not going to have a grade or you want it synced, you have to mark either missing or excused, not late, missing or excused, or put a number grade in here in order for it to sync. Now, perhaps you have some other things that you're ready to sync, but this one just isn't. All the grades aren't ready for it. What I suggest doing is going to your assignments tab, and then for this abstract line, just uncheck it green. And then once everybody gets their assignment turned in and you have the grades in for everybody, go back and then recheck it green. If you do that, it won't try to sync this assignment until you're ready for it to be synced and all the grades are in. But then everything else, so say all these were all graded and you wanted them to sync, they'll go ahead and go. But if all the grades aren't in for this one, it'll hold all of these up most of the time. So just use that to your advantage. If it's not ready, if everything's not graded, just unhighlight it until it's ready to be graded. Once everything's graded, you can turn it back on green and it'll sync overnight. All right. I think that those are some of the main things that we have found most recently. So I'll just review really quickly with you. If you are trying to sync an assignment, there has to be a grade for everyone, or you have to mark missing or excused for it. Make sure that your assignment names are short, not long. Make sure your assignment names are unique. You cannot have the same assignment name and the same due date. They have to be unique. You can have multiple assignments that are due on August 17th, but they have to have a different name. And then, just make sure if you have an assignment that doesn't have a grade, if everything's not graded, just turn these on and off until you're ready. Make sure that everything is in the right category. Be checking. Make sure that your projects under projects, your quizzes under quizzes, and your classwork's under classwork. Make sure all those groups are set up right. You don't want something hanging out down here in imported assignments, because it's not going to get synced into the grade book. Okay, I hope that helps. Thanks.